Hello, I am here today to talk about the very interestingly named Yale Smart Lock with Matter designed for Google Home, which is a bit of a long name. Um, so I don't have the product here with me. I will throw up some pictures and videos as I get into the review, but I have a bunch of things to talk about. Let's talk about some basic things and some of the things I like about the lock itself. The build quality is great. It's very plastic, which I don't really have a problem with. I don't know if it's a UV resistant plastic. It seems nice. I got it in the white color to match with the door. I really do hope it's UV resistant, and I hope it's somewhat recycled so that it's a little bit sustainable. It's very easy to install as long as you like a regular existing deadbolt. It's nothing crazy or custom. It should work. It works well for me. It's Matter over Thread, so since I have Thread built into my Nest Wi-Fi Pro network, it works flawlessly with no additional shenanigans. Thread is very responsive, and I've had no issues with it. I know mileage may vary because Matter is still pretty new. One of the detractors, though, is the way the product is named. It's kind of makes it seem like it only works for Google Home when it's a Matter product. It should work for Apple Home, Alexa, and smart things. And I do wish that the packaging for the product had more of you need a Thread border router on it, because at the bottom there's a little requires a Thread border router logo, but it's kind of innocuous, kind of blends in with the Matter logo. So I'd like to see a bigger disclaimer on that. There's something on the side, but it's very pretty. It's almost too pretty. It kind of feels like an advertisement or a draw versus a attention, kind of thing. So I would kind of rework the name and the packaging a tiny bit. I paid $150 for the lock. It is good at that price. The full price is normally $180. I would not want to pay $180 for the lock, so I would say wait until it goes on sale. It's better at a sale price. One thing is that it only comes with one physical key, so if you want more, you'll have to go make duplicates. I went to a kiosk where you kind of stick it in and it'll duplicate the key for you. So that was really nice and quick. That way I have backups just in case. Another thing that I don't like about the product is that other Yale products, you can stick a 9-volt to the bottom of them and it'll charge up the lock or give the lock enough juice to unlock it one more time so you can get inside and replace the proper batteries. This lock doesn't do that. It's a smooth bottom, so if the battery dies, you'll need to use the physical lock as a backup. Unless you're on the inside, you can replace the batteries. It does use 4 AA batteries, which is nice. I do kind of wish the batteries were rechargeable, but I understand why they're not. So so far it's been a week I've had the lock, and the battery percentage according to Google Home has not left 100%, so that's good. Hopefully the battery life is nice and long because Thread is a low power network. Now let's talk about the Google Home integration, because that's how I'm using it. I have a lot of notes on this and a lot of opinions. So it does seem a little rushed, the Google Home integration with locks. There have been a few instances where I pulled up the lock to see if it's closed, open, locked, unlocked, and I've gotten the old Nest X Yale interface with the ring around it, and I was just really confused. I'll throw up a screenshot of what I got. It was very strange. It seems Google Home isn't quite ready for a lot of things. And they're selectively choosing what they do and don't support, even though Google's one of the founding members of Matter. A lot of what I'm going to see here today boils down to Google Home needs to do better, not Yale. Yale overall has done a pretty good job for the hardware and developing the device. It's the Google Home interface that kind of needs work. One of my big issues is what I call phantom codes. I know it sounds kind of scary, but basically I was experimenting and I was trying out different ways to assign codes to people in Google Home. So I have 3 users, and one of them is my mother. and she was an admin in Google Home, and I created a code for her because in the Google Home thing you can create access codes for people. So I said, oh, perfect. I'll create a code for her, and then we'll be set. And then I was thinking about it after I created the code. I'm like, oh, damn. I probably don't want her to be an admin because I know that Google Home you can set someone to just be a member, so she can't like change things and do weird things. So I decided to change her to a member, which in Google Home requires you to remove someone from a home and add them back in, which is super annoying, versus just like changing their permissions. You have to like, it's weird. So I did that, and then I realized as a member, I couldn't assign her a code in Google Home. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. Maybe the UI is bad. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong. So I tried it on my tablet. I tried closing the app and opening it up again. Could not make a code for a person who's a member, not an admin. So I went into the guest code section and I decided to make a code for her there. I was like, oh, whatever, this will be easier. Type in her code. It says I cannot use that because it's already in use. And I was like, oh, that's not possible because I removed her from Google Home, so that code shouldn't be in use. So I went to the door, tried out the code, and it still works. So with Google Home's current integration, if you remove an admin from Google Home, that code, Google Home does not tell the lock to remove that code. That code still exists in the lock. And since this is kind of like a Matter first lock, I didn't find a way to manually remove it from the lock using like the master code that I have. So I was like, that's dangerous. So essentially, imagine a situation where it's an abusive relationship and you finally get the other person to leave the house and you remove them from Google Home. You're like, great, they're not going to be able to have that access to the house. I'm safe now. But Google Home never told the lock to remove that code, so that code still works and that person can still get into the house. So I think that's a huge oversight, especially it's like doubled because Google Home will not list the codes for you. There's the guest section where it shows you like, oh, there's these codes and you can remove them. But if it's a removed user, it'll just disappear and it won't list it. So I think that's really bad. I think there should still be like an unassigned code section so you can go in and like remove codes that don't exist. I think that's really scary, and I think that's a huge oversight on Google's part. What else is weird is there's no way to like give members codes, which I just spoke about. That doesn't make sense. It seems like it's a bug, not a feature. Because for instance, if I have kids, I would want them to be able to access certain devices in the home, but not make changes to them. So I'd want to give like kids access to the door so they can get in after school, for example. So I don't know why that's the way it is. Another huge issue I found is that since my mom is no longer an admin, she was not able to edit notifications for the device. So anytime someone unlocked the door, she would get a notification, which was super annoying. Turns out only admins can edit notifications that they receive for a device, which doesn't make sense because I figured everyone should be able to choose the notifications they receive for a device. Like, I don't want to get notifications about the washing machine being done, and that person should be able to turn it off. I have a child, like I don't want them to receive notifications about this after 9 p.m. for instance. Or like I have like an older family member who like, can work the basics, but like will get confused if like the door keeps saying it's open every 5 minutes, every time someone walks in, So it feels like anyone should be able to edit the notifications they receive because some people don't want to be bothered or some people want more information. Another thing that is very interesting is the activity section in Google Home, which kind of gives you a timeline view of like things that happen in your house, like how long the thermostat was running, if you have a Nest thermostat. It'll also tell you that when the door was locked and unlocked. Issue with that is, it doesn't tell you who unlocked it. It'll just say like, door was unlocked. Great. The whole point of me like assigning codes and giving them names was so that I can be like, oh, my parents came home, or like, oh, Agatha or the rover came home. So I can keep track of that. Right now, if you whoever unlocks the door using their code, doesn't tell you which code was used, doesn't tell you who opened the door, just as the door was unlocked, which I think is a huge missed opportunity that does need to change. And I want to go one step further. I want to say, like, you know, the rover opened the door using the keypad, like, so we know it was in person. Or like, if someone calls me like, oh, I forgot my code, or like a friend needs to come over or whatever and they don't have the code, and I unlock it through the Google Home app, I would like it to say like, Peter unlocked the door via Google Home or via third-party app, just so there's like a record of like things happening. So I think that's a big miss on Google Home's part. Maybe it's possible or impossible due to Matter, but then that's something that needs to improve in Matter, because we kind of need information. We need to know who comes and goes in this, you know, day and age. We have smart locks, we might as well make them smart. So we need to be able to see which codes are or aren't in use. Maybe not display the codes, but like see like there are codes and assigned to who, or even unassigned codes, and be able to remove them, because there is a way to create code schedules for guests and like remove them and reset them, but not for Google Home users. So it feels like it's an issue on Google Home's part. We need better activity history, better notification controls. Yeah, I mean, those are my main issues with the Google Home side of things. The good things with the Google Home integration are that you're able to create automations with the lock, so you can create broadcasts if the door opens. Yale included a door sense, so I cut a hole in like the door jamb and like stuck it in, so the lock will actually give me more information. So tell me if it's locked, unlocked, but also if the door is open or closed or slightly ajar, which is super awesome. And I think it would be nice if like Google Home natively, without like having to create automations, would be like, hey, you left the door open for like 20 minutes. Do you maybe want to close that? Just like as a nudge or a reminder. But maybe that's better as an automation. There is an integration with Google TV, which is lovely. So if you have Google Home set up in your Google TV, you can lock and unlock the lock, and you can also see its status. That's pretty awesome. I just wish there was like pop-up notifications when someone unlocks it, so you can know who unlocked the door and who's coming in, or turn off that feature altogether. Really what Google Home is lacking here is control and customization, and just like a lack of notifications across devices. To wrap it up, overall, I really, really like the lock itself. Yale did a great job with the hardware. The Google Home integration of the software needs work. I understand it's still new. It's new to the point where while I was setting it up, there was a page during the setup process that knew it was a Yale product because, you know, it's special, it's made for Google Home, but had the word placeholder text at the end of a sentence. Like, did no one like Control F placeholder text when they were like finalizing the strings before putting them into production? It kind of feels like sloppy. Google can do better. I have higher expectations. Other final thoughts, I wish there was a keyless version. I know that a keyed version, like it is right now, is great to bridge the gap for tech enthusiasts like me and people who aren't quite ready to give up keys. So people who are a bit more old school or wary of technology or distrusting of batteries. I get it. This is a good in-between. I just do wish there was a keyless version of the same product that looked the same, just a little bit smaller, because there's no key. It's for those people who are ready to go all in. But I understand why it is the way it is. Overall, should you buy it? I think it is a good deal at $150 when it is on sale. I wouldn't buy it for a penny over. I don't think it's worth it. It's not metal, it's plastic. It looks nice. It looks like the Nest doorbell, if that's what you have. It's the second generation Nest doorbell, not the first one, because Nest is dead. It's the Google Home, Nest, Hello, whatever doorbell, whatever terrible naming convention Google's going with, the second one. So it blends in with that. Does it blend with all home decor? No. It's either black, gray, or white. It's decent. They didn't even make it in the linen color, which is like the yellowish beigey color that would match the Nest. It's good build quality from what it seems. It makes good tactile clicks. It's got good sounds for feedback. I find it hard to hate the product. It also works well if you already have a Thread border router like an Apple HomePod or a Nest Hub 2nd generation or a Nest Wi-Fi Pro in your house already within 50 feet or less, because walls exist and those impede signal. It's also a decent purchase if you're willing to buy something hoping that the software improves, because Google Home still has improvement to do. I know that Google has made a lot of promises and they have been improving Google Home recently because of all the negative attention they've been getting because of essentially abandoning the products and letting them rot for 2 years. But hopefully it gets better, and hopefully they fix the glaring issues of the phantom codes and, lacking features or lacking activity and history. So once that's fixed, it will be a stellar product. Maybe I'll do like a 1-year follow-up video to see like where Google Home has come and how the product has aged, because I'm curious to see if the product is UV resistant, because I bought it in white and it's outside. So I'm hoping it doesn't turn like beige and gross and cracked, because some plastic gets weird and cracky in the sun. I do remember the box saying it has a lifetime warranty on the mechanical, but the electronics have a 2-year warranty, I believe. So I'm interested to see if like the mechanical also includes the keypad, because if it does age and get growth after 1 year, I do want a replacement because I want it to look nice, because I don't buy things for them to fall apart and break. I buy them to last a lifetime and keep me safe and secure. Overall, I really like it. I would recommend it. And it'll make a great Christmas present or birthday present for someone who's like really techie and like wants something fun and neat. But for the average user who doesn't know what Matter is or doesn't really know what Thread is, I would say either like do it for them or help them, or wait for like technology to get to where consumers are, or wait for them to get where technology is. It's a balancing act. Oh yeah. I think that's really about everything. That's all my thoughts. I'm gonna edit this video down and hope it's good. I will see you in the next review because I have a lot of opinions about everything.